Lua, got it.
Got it.
Tonight, no lawyers on this train. We're going to talk about 2015 Sicario, which is an old Roman name for a Jew that liked to stab people. True story, crazy stuff. Uh, Sicario, we mentioned it a lot of times. I feel like we've danced around this movie for a long time. How many times would you say you've seen this movie?
I think this was my fourth time, maybe
Yeah.
third, but I really like it.
Yeah, this was I'm not ashamed to say it, but I'll just admit it. I think it's my third time watching it in the last 6 weeks, maybe 2 months.
Really?
But I've been watching this movie a lot lately. Yeah, yeah. I find it is a nice stress reliever after I come home from work. And it's like, oh yeah, look at well executed torture and killing. Somebody's got it. Uh, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, go see it. I don't no spoilers, but no, there's going to be tons of spoilers. Right, this movie's got a lot of segments, right? You got your first segment at the house. You got the getting onto the team segment, the bank, the trip into Juarez. Those are transposed in chronological order, and then the tunnel and the journey to Frausto, whatever his name's house is. What's your favorite scene in this movie?
My favorite scene?
Yeah,
Um,
you can have two.
Something with
Your
Benicio del
top two.
Toro. Uh, The very end when he just kills the dude's family and then him is like, wow, I've,
Yeah, very harsh. Although technically that's not the end. Him forcing Emily Blunt to sign the
yeah.
paper, which I always find to be an interesting like this is the ending, like this is it. But it works. It definitely works.
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite okay, I really like the scene. There's a few of them, but they're transition scenes while where they're driving and the cinematography really starts to pan out and you get to take in the border and Juarez and it's got that ominous Inception style sound going on.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah.
those scenes were incredible. And they did a really good job making Juarez just look and feel like I would never ever want to go there in my entire
I
life.
mean, your life would be in danger if you did, is what it feels like. Like unless
So
you're from those streets, and even when you're from those streets, I feel like the guy in the car does a really good job of actually quantifying it where the cartels probably split it 50-50, right? It's like 50% is actual cartel shit and 50% is just fucking with the population and making them think that the cartel is everywhere and scaring people to death so that they don't get in the way. Uh, Seems like it's probably a pretty good strategy.
yeah, I when they were talking about Juarez at some point, I think somebody in the movie actually said it's like one of the it was rated the most dangerous place in the world or something. And so then I googled that to see if it was true and it was number 3. And so I googled what are the most dangerous places in the world.
Vallejo,
What?
California.
No. the top of the top 6 places in the world, 5 of them, including the first 4, are all in Mexico.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I like going there for vacation. And now,
Right, yeah. No, right outside those big ass walls is just and I mean, they want you to stay safe there because the cartels run the places you're going to. They
probably,
they
yeah.
get their piece.
And
Yeah.
it basically turned came down to like if you live there, you have a 1% chance of dying if you leave your house. And
Jesus.
just, I mean, 1% sounds small, but every day you got to leave your house.
No,
That
it's 100
1%
days.
stack up. Yeah, that's a
You've got a
hundred
good
days.
chance of dying 3 times a year. Three
Mm-hmm.
times a year, you're possibly getting snuffed. Crazy shit. Rate and grade this thing. Let's get that done.
Um, I think this movie is pretty incredible. I love the pacing, the acting, the style, the sound, the cinematography. Like I said, the story itself. I every time I watch it, I feel like see something I didn't see the time before, and something makes a little more sense. I think it's probably Benicio del Toro's best character. And he's got some great characters, but
Hmm.
his kind of like awkwardness makes him this even better at being this ultra vigilante. I don't think I'd change anything about it. It's an A+. Great movie.
All right. Well, not going to be a dissenting opinion there. I definitely agree. Like having watched it 3 times recently, the third time I watched it, I did, I started paying attention to other things. I was like, let's see what else I can find from this. And it does not disappoint. Even questioning the actual ending, there is not a lot of fat on this movie. Like everything is it is done in a way, even like exposition. You get a big chunk of the movie before they're even explaining what they're doing at the moment. You're just along for the ride as they go. And then once they finally explain, here's the overall thing, it's almost the end. And Josh Brolin is telling her, shh, don't move, stay down. Anyway, uh, yeah, A+. Yeah, sure. A+. Why not? This is a great movie. I don't know why it doesn't get more. It should be everywhere. The acting is phenomenal. Um, the I was gonna say this is probably one of my favorites for John Bernthal too. When little Johnny B shows up, it's so funny 'cause it's like, oh, is she gonna catch a break? And it's like, oh no, he's there to kill her. That sucks. She is not having
Yeah.
a good week. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just 100% being used. Like you have been brought on this team so that we can do this on US soil. That's all. That's all. We don't, yep.
Yeah. It like and every step of the way, everything is hardcore. I like movies like that. Sometimes they're not what you want to watch, but when you do, this movie really delivers. Um,
Yep.
John Bernthal, yeah, was really great in it. I think it was also one of the movies where he's not like too much, you
Right
know?
over the top. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It he did a good job when he was like, you did this, this is your fault. Did a good job of like making you feel that he is just like a man who's did some stupid things and now he has to help the cartel out.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're gonna do something to his daughter. The scene where they've got him in the truck and Benicio del Toro's like pinching his cheek and putting his finger in his ear. Always like, is that effective torture? Having somebody wet willy you like with pressure? And I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it probably is. I hit my eardrum with a Q-tip once when I was a kid, and I've never forgotten it. Like somebody applying force with their pinky in your ear. Yeah, you're probably like, please stop, please stop, please stop.
Dude, could you
Pretty
imagine
crazy.
like having them push so hard? Because like you when you accidentally do it, you're already going in really gentle and then you like
Right.
recoil super quick. Imagine if it just wasn't stopping. You would think that's going to break through there and hit my brain.
Yeah. Right. Although
And
it wouldn't. It would. just destroy your hearing in that ear, not your earring. Benicio del Toro, this probably is one of his best, although I do love him as kid sitting on car in the Madonna La Isla Bonita music video from the 80s. Yep, he was there. Uh,
Great.
it's funny looking at his movies. It's like it took him a while to break through, but he was definitely one of those guys where it was like, I guess, once he's Finster in The Usual Suspects, there's no turning back. You know who that guy is.
I'll flip you. Flip you for real.
Yeah, flip you for real.
Yeah,
Uh,
and in his character in Fear and Loathing, like between those two, that I think they really cemented him as a weirdo, and then he could
right.
never fully escape being weird, having like shifty
Mhm.
eyes.
Shit, got the shifty eyes. Yeah, Josh Brolin also phenomenal. Like you said, wouldn't change a thing. Like he's perfect in that role.
I love
It's
that
a
he's
far
just
step from Goonies, but
I love that he's kind of like this weird guy who wants to wear Crocs and take his shoes off all the time. And when you really figure out that he's not an actual like that he's kind of like a rogue subsector of a government agency, like governments hire this
oh,
dude out to get things done
he's a
because he'll
spook.
do
He's a CIA.
well and he'll do the weird stuff and everything. I didn't
Right.
Is he actually CIA? I I kind of got the feeling this
I mean,
watch through that he's not.
yeah.
That the
According to
CIA.
Wikipedia, yes, he is, and
Oh,
in
okay.
fact says CIA can't operate on uh, native soil without somebody from a native agency, and that's why, being from the FBI, she is there. He
Yeah,
tells her in
and
the hotel room.
well, I guess my what I knew he was working for the CIA, but I kind of got the impression that he's not in the CIA, but he's like their representative that's been he's like a contractor who works for the
Right,
CIA.
exactly. Like they keep him on payroll. He does the things that they can't really be tied to, but they need to do otherwise. And this was something I really loved. I think they do it twice in the movie. They do it really pointedly when she's trying to get the money to be part of something they can actually prosecute. Where he says, in the last year, we've seized more than in the two previous years combined. Do you feel like we are turning the tide? Do you get the sense that we're
Yeah.
winning? And it's like, no, no. It's yeah. What are you going to do? You got to beat them at their own game
Yeah,
almost,
go
which
into
is
their
funny
house,
because
shoot
their
their whole
game is
family.
actually our game that we just don't want to play in the outside of the shadows.
Yes. Yeah. Um did have you seen the movie I think it's
Shaboogley.
Hunted?
Yeah, with Del Toro and
Tommy Lee?
wait, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. I
Yes.
That was like my first movie where I watched Benicio do something on this kind of level.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought he was really good at it. That movie, I watched it recently. Um, and it had been a while, and I was like, okay, this movie is a little more over the top now that I'm an amateur movie critic. But he he definitely can be this stealth killer psychopath
Mhm.
very well, and I want to see him do more of it. Like I can't
He's got those dead shark eyes.
shifty eyes, man.
Yep.
Shifty.
Personally, if you're going to revisit one of his early roles, the dog faced boy in Big Top Pee Wee is probably one of the best.
The dog faced boy in Big Top Pee Wee.
That's right. Check it
Now
out. If you haven't seen it, it's
that's
well
a
worth a
sentence
watch.
right there.
That is that is a sentence. And then of course, Emily Blunt plays just the string that links all these things together. Uh, we definitely not her first time on this show, and she's had a lot of success with the recent Christopher Nolan film. I believe it's called Open Humor. I don't know. I haven't heard of it before, but oh wait, no, we reviewed that one too. Uh, what do you think is her best role?
Dude, the way you said that, I
Yeah.
was like, what are you talking about? Humor?
Do you think it's Edge of Tomorrow, or has she got a better one? Devil Wears Prada. Are you a Devil Wears Prada fan?
um, I think it's probably Quiet Place, but
Mm,
I don't know. Maybe it was this. Like she was really, really great in this.
really good. Have you seen Quiet Place
I
2?
would say it was this. I Oppenheimer was a little
Mm-hmm.
more um complex of a character, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, definitely was
But
good. But yeah, and this, her chops are great. Did you watch A Quiet Place 2?
yeah,
Was it good?
yeah. It's
I should watch
basically
that.
I would say it's just as good. For some reason you aren't I don't think you're as vested in it because it's not new. Like you're not learning
Right.
about
No
this.
Jim.
Yeah,
Jim's
well,
not
you're
in it,
not
so it's
learning
like, ugh.
about the world that was written for that movie, and you're like, what are these
Right.
aliens? And like, oh, I want to know
Yeah,
how it
because
all
it takes
happened. And
place at the turn, right? Like it's when it happens.
that's what's really cool about it is you get to see how it happened.
Yeah, right. Which is always my favorite in the apocalyptic movies is like when it actually happens. How did you survive through it? I think that's one of the best episodes of The Last of Us. But anyway, um, so wife gets killed, daughter gets thrown into a vat of acid. So it makes Benicio del Toro pretty open to just killing the person who did this to his family. What do you think you have thought of killing somebody over that's been the most trivial? I'll go first. I mean, in traffic all the time. I'm like, you probably don't need to be on this planet anymore.
The most trivial.
Yeah. Is it a
Um,
bicyclist? That's my guess for
well,
you.
yeah, when you
You
said
definitely
it's not
imagine checking.
it's not fair because I don't like the bicyclists and you said traffic, so immediately my mind was like, well, yeah,
All right.
I
So take
imagine hitting
traffic
them
out, which is probably a
sometimes.
normal human response. What else?
um oh, I hate to say it, but like people that annoy me regularly in my life for just like I wouldn't be upset if the elevator went down too fast.
Oh my God. Well, would you rig it? Would you be the
No,
Sicario?
no. I've imagined things from time to time, but no, I would never do that. However, if
That would
my
be terrible.
wife was beheaded and my daughter was dumped in a vat of acid, I don't think there's anything I wouldn't do,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's pretty much open game at that point, which brings me to another one of my. I think my favorite scenes kind of change a little, but in this third scene or the third watch through, I kind of hate to admit it, but I was honestly looking forward to when they get Guillermo back and he does the whole no hablo inglés, and then in comes Benicio del Toro and he kicks his legs open and just puts his crotch in his face and just stands there. I was like, dude, can you imagine how uncomfortable that would be? You're handcuffed. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Just standing there sweating at you. Oh my God. Yeah.
E-
And
Every
then
time
now
I've
you'll see what hell is in Yankee Land.
every time I've seen that scene, I've always had the same kind of feeling of I don't fully understand, but I also like this is Alejandro's first interaction with somebody who has a link to the death of his family in quite
Yeah.
some time. And he's had all this pent up rage, and like he just wants to get really fucking close to the dude and make
Oh
him
yeah.
feel, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
And
And just completely emasculate him. This powerful person who nobody fucks with. He's like, look how close I'll get.
yeah,
Balls on
and
your chin close.
he kicks his legs apart so he can step between them and everything. It's just like so, as you said, just uncomfortable. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
imagine
Super
somebody doing
uncomfortable.
that to you.
Right
Yeah.
after, like, and they allude to it a few times that he used to be a prosecutor in Mexico. And, he meets up with one of his old legit compatriots. They have the conversation, and it's like, all right, let's go in. And it's like, no, you should go. You don't want to be able to say you were in the room when I go in that room. And
Yeah.
he's just like, all right, see ya. Like, where are the people who are like, no, I've got to do this right. I mean, Emily Blunt is, but uh, yeah,
That guy's
the
from
torture
Mexico. He
scene.
gets it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he knew Alejandro's backstory, which Emily Blunt did not.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
dude. When he picks
oh
up the five
yeah,
gallons of water,
which
he's
is
like,
so
all right,
weird. He's like, I I guess yeah, I'm gonna do something with this. Like I'm gonna shove
yeah,
it up his ass. And like what, when you're that possessed with revenge and you pick up the 5 gallon jug of water, what are you thinking? Oh, I'm gonna do
I
something with
mean,
this.
gonna start with waterboarding and see where it goes. The night is young.
I'll
Yeah.
make him drink the whole thing as fast as possible.
Oh
And
God,
then
yeah,
I'll
death.
punch him in the
That's
stomach.
death. Oh Jesus. Oh, stop. Wow. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, yep. This movie's rough and a really fun watch. Man, makes me
How
want to
about,
go watch it again. You know what? I haven't watched two. Have you watched part two? The Day of the
oh yeah.
Soledad?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it good?
If this movie is an A plus, that movie is somewhere between B plus and A minus.
All right. I'm gonna
Very,
watch
very
it.
good. It is a continuation, but kind of like Quiet Place 2, I would say meets all the marks, but I don't know. There's something about this movie. It's the first of its kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you're just
I
really
mean,
blown
I'm
away and
sure they get a little
captivated.
formulaic with it, right? They get a little bit of here's what worked in the first movie, so we're gonna reuse some of the same stuff in the second movie. Not that there's the house, which if I had a few nitpicks, don't you think you'd smell that house coming up to it? Like I bet you there's a half a mile around that house where you're like, did I step in dog shit? No,
Yeah,
that's rotting meat.
I did think about that quite a bit, and I was trying to come up with explanations. There was a lot of plastic on them. There's
True.
so many chemicals you could put in the walls and on those bodies. Maybe that's
Sheetrock made of baking powder, so it's just absorbing the smell. I don't
something
know.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably not though.
Probably not. Probably not. Really love that they built a full scale replica of the border crossing into Juarez because there's no way they could actually film that at the actual border crossing. Be like, no, movie's getting made. You can't come into the US for a couple days. That ain't gonna work. So they built a full scale replica. How fucking cool would that be?
Dude, it was so well done too. Like that
Yeah,
whole, it takes what, almost 10 minutes, that whole, for them to get from point A to point B, and the
right.
entire time you're watching it you're convinced something is going to happen. Your adrenaline's high, the tension's high. It is just as bad as something happening. And by the end of it, Benicio says like, nothing will happen here. If they make a move, it'll be at the border. And then sure enough,
Yeah,
they just get into their
yep.
compound And yeah, nothing happened. That whole time you were so on edge for them
Right?
just to show you what it's like to get into Juarez. That was the
Yeah.
whole point of that.
Dude, when they say they got a spotter vehicle and they look over and you see the cop car following them one
Mm-hmm.
block over, it's like, dude, it sends chills up your spine. Anyway, phenomenal movie, A plus. What else you got? Anything else?
I mean, should we talk about Jeffrey Donovan a little bit? He was so like adorably sinister.
Sure. Which one's that?
The guy who was wearing glasses, he normally,
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. The one who talks about how smart it is what they do. It makes everybody think they must have been involved.
yeah, he's the guy. Like, I think his best known thing is Burn Notice, that show where he like
Oh
narrates
yeah,
everything in his head.
that's right. I've never seen it, but yeah, I recognize him from the ads.
Yeah, I thought he and all the military dudes who, again, what again what you said about the whole time you're watching this movie, you're kind of watching from Emily Blunt's perspective, and
Mhm.
you get these pieces of information, and then by the end of it, you realize that they all kind of knew what was going on the whole time, and she just didn't know anything.
Right,
And uh, Jeffrey Donovan and the other, like the balding Navy SEAL dude with the crazy beard, just saying like,
right,
"Don't shoot anyone. If you kill anyone on my team, I'll fucking kill you," or something like that.
right. Yeah,
Um, that they
knuckles
were
pointed
really fun
down.
characters for me too. But
Yeah,
I thought like everyone else was such a badass, and then they brought in Jeffrey Donovan and they put these big ass nerdy glasses on him and make him be kind of awkward, yet he's still a trained killer. I liked his character a lot.
yeah. Agreed. I also thought Daniel Kaluuya, I believe is how you say it, her partner. He's got two really great times where when he first, she's like, I don't have the answers. You ask him. And he's like, Max, can we talk? Just like, I'm not going to be put to the side anymore. And then when they tell him, go home and get some sleep, he's like, I just drove 100 fucking miles. I don't know. I really love that line. I feel like I've said that before where I'm like, seriously, did I just drive all this way for bullshit? Yeah,
Yeah, we're just stringing you along so that we can be here. So,
right.
like,
Yeah.
yes, you
We
did
just
drive
needed a
all
ride.
this way for bullshit.
Just needed a ride. All right. One other nitpick I've got. Don't you think she would have been smart enough not to go in the bank? You know that bank's got cameras. That you're not going to get all that camera footage.
I don't
Why
think she
would you
was
go in that bank?
I don't think she's putting two and two together. I think in her head, she, as Benicio put it, your American brain cannot comprehend. Like she's still living in, I'm with SWAT, I'm in America, like I get to
That's
go into
true because
banks and everything's fine.
she still goes to the boss after that. And it's like, no, we can prosecute on this. And they're like, get a fucking grip. We're here to kill somebody. We're not here to tie up fucking court documents.
Yeah.
True. That's kind of the last little bit of her naivete. Good point. Good point.
Yeah. And she was really out to prove a point like we should be doing this the right way. I'm going to get this done a different way. And no, Josh Brolin and
No.
Benicio are here to murder and
Yep.
have fun doing it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, unfortunately, it just makes a power vacuum that somebody else fills. But
But they were going to
man,
try
what can
and
you
fill
fucking
it
do?
with the Colombian cartel because they
Right?
could control it.
Right. Yeah. Setting up somebody that they can control them through. Yeah. Which I
I
think
thought
is
that was
still a
a
fallacy. It's not actually happening.
I think that was a really interesting side plot though, to say like Mexico's too too out of control. We know our people are still going to do drugs. Let's go back to Colombia. Like we need to
Is it
get rid of Mexico. And the reason I thought it was so interesting is because I watched Narcos, and the whole thing is just killing Pablo Escobar. Like, let's get
right?
rid of this guy. He's the worst, the most evil person of all time. Is like the projection that America had on him.
Right. And it's because he was like, oh, you know, I'll just do my own thing. I won't be a puppet for you. Not
Yeah.
something we can allow. Can't
No,
do
no.
that. No.
America is very important.
America. Speaking of America being important, how about Trump as our next president? No, just kidding. Let's not get into it. Uh, what else do you got? Anything? I really think
Like,
we've talked this movie
like
up quite a bit.
we have. This is a great movie. Everyone should watch it. I think it kind of flew under the radar. It did make a profit, but nobody
Big
really
profit.
talks about this
Budget of
movie. And
30,
anytime I bring
box
it up,
office of 50.
85,
Oh, yeah,
right?
I wrote the wrong number. Yep.
But I like don't meet people who've seen this movie, and I don't meet people who've really heard of the movie. I say, "Have you watched Sicario?" And they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah,
This
I
movie is
agree.
great.
I work with people, not everybody in my office, but at least two people are pretty well versed in movies. And after I watched it the first time, I was like, you know what I watched last night again is Sicario. Have you guys? And everybody is like, what is that? I was like, you should watch it.
Yeah. One other thing my buddy pointed out is this movie written by the guy who did Yellowstone, or the guy
Right?
who writes Yellowstone,
Mm-hmm.
um, who is the assistant sheriff on Sons of Anarchy. But when he wrote
Hmm.
this movie, he wrote Hell or High Water as well in the same year,
Okay.
along with some other movie. But I haven't seen Hell or High Water, but my friend was really talking it up. And I looked it up online. It's another like 95 percenter on Rotten Tomatoes. Could you imagine being able to write three movies in 1 year and then like go on to make Yellowstone and just be this like nobody has been assistant sheriff on Sons of Anarchy to now I'm worth $80 million for writing movies.
Yeah, you paid attention, you studied up, you learned what sells, and then keep it going. Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
got. Like, subscribe, leave a
That's
comment.
right. Please leave a comment. I mean, all the views, they're great, but comments are what we're really doing this for.
It's true.